Yo, how's it going everybody? You got Sketch here and welcome back to the channel. On today's episode we're checking out a beat 'em up from the arcade that fell during the sweet spot of the era, amongst licensed Capcom classics like Alien vs Predator, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, and the Punisher arcade games. This one is pretty wild even compared to those. We're looking at Battle Circuit, developed and published by Capcom, releasing to arcades worldwide in 1997, and appearing as part of the Capcom beat 'em up bundle in 2018 for the Xbox and PlayStation platforms, Switch, and PC, as well as Capcom's Arcade Stadium Volume 1. We're looking at the Xbox One version today, and we'll be getting into this ride of a brawler here in just a moment. But before we do that, let's check out the story real quick. In the not so distant future, you take the role of a group of bounty hunters coming through the city of Neokoba, tracking the ops by serial number. Your latest assignment has you in pursuit of the Delete Gang and Dr. Saturn, all in a race to acquire a floppy disk known to contain the Shiva system, which is capable of controlling every computer system across the globe. It's up to you and your crew to get to the disk first and save the world. Get the hands ready, they're rated E for everyone. Gameplay wise, you get a side-scrolling beat 'em up where up to 4 players can bash the enemies cooperatively or solo. Through 7 stages, you'll body the Delete Gang across the city and level up your character as you progress. You can choose between Cyber Blue, Captain Silver, Yellow, Green, and Pink, who rides atop an ostrich. Each character has their own respective upgrade options and attacks, and enemies will drop various coins you can spend at the end of each stage, along with briefcases of cash. So greed can be a motivator, but you're also surrounded by a mob that wants it too, and is willing to smoke you for it. Combat is pretty solid here with some trademark Capcom brawler style gameplay, featuring command grabs, dash attacks, juggles, wall bashes, and combo stringing where you can lay down nearly endless chains. You'll also upgrade by racking up points throughout gameplay. So you've got a few ways you can level your character up. Once you choose an upgrade at the end of each stage, there's no refunds or switching, and there's some more powerful and expensive upgrades towards the end. So you should be able to acquire everything by the final stage, but still, choose wisely. The leveling system feels similar to Knights of the Round and the licensed Dungeons & Dragons games, where your character gets stronger over time, and by the back end of the game you can clear rooms like Jackie Chan. Different directional inputs will also finish strings with various combo attacks at the end of combos, and these can get pretty nasty when you figure out which combos can almost go infinitely. The air to ground juggles are also a lot of fun to put together too. There's also a lot of ways to get bonus points, like the quick highway shoot 'em up stage where you pursue Dr. Saturn, along with collecting as many coins as you can from down enemies in briefcases. Also, the M-bomb turns all on-screen enemies into coins as soon as you pick it up. That comes in clutch when you're surrounded, but also want a quick payout. If you can hit the gold flying saucer when it appears, it'll also drop several power-ups and coins too. You also get bonuses for how fast you defeat bosses and how much health you have at the end of encounters. So depending on how you fare, Battle Circuit gives you a variety of ways to rank up and smoke your opponents. Graphics-wise, Battle Circuit runs on the Capcom CPS-2 system hardware, which powered many of the arcade titles from 1993 to the early 2000s. Games like Pro Gear, Alien vs Predator, and Gigawing all ran on this board, and visually it cooks with some over-the-top design work. The hand-drawn sprites are all fairly large and highly detailed with several unique character animations. You get a pretty wide variety of enemies that all switch up a bit depending on what region of Neokoba you're in. You'll body humanoids, reptilian foot soldiers, and biker gangs that feel like they're straight out of the pages of Akira, amongst several boss characters, each bigger and more insane than the last. Stages also have a lot of detail, and the environments look pretty sick here, with several things happening in the background as well as the foreground. Level designs have the feel of their fighting game titles with lavish backgrounds, all of which vary over the journey. You get 7 stages with the optional A stage if you choose to fight the defense system at the end of the game to enable the true last encounter, and it stays hype. Boss designs are all pretty good here and have some pretty wild looking creations. The bosses have a couple references to figures like Elvis and Jane Goodall, and the humor with the character designs is all pretty sick overall. Aside from everything looking good, the style is also pretty dang solid here. There's also a fair bit of cutaway dialogue and interlude cutscenes bridging the gaps of the story, and these are often pretty funny bits of banner. The animation here is also solid, rarely skipping a beat even when the screen does get hectic. Sound wise, Battle Circuit is also fire with a solid soundtrack and some heavy hitting audio powered by the CPS System 2 Q sound. Suyun Nishigaki lays down a really fun and varied soundtrack, keeping energy light as you pile drive the Delete Gang across the city. There's some jams in here that straight up smoke, and you get a decent track variety from bouncy to more moody compositions. The tunes have the feel of the Street Fighter Alpha series, which is also always a plus. Sound effects are also nice and weighty here with some crunch to each impact, having many of those familiar sound bites heard in Capcom titles. Here is no different with some bass to each punch delivered to your ops. There's even some light speech synth here, so this is on par with the quality of Capcom releases around the time that they were known for, which especially in the arcade were high. Battle Circuit is an insane beat 'em up that is definitely in a lane of its own. If you're into side-scrolling brawlers, this is a great game to fire up, especially if you have partners to bring along. Audio and visuals are top-notch, and the action will keep you coming back to either top that last high score or to try the other bounty hunters in the crew. The difficulty is pretty fair for an arcade title, and you get the moveset and abilities to make the Delete Gang a figment of the database. Battle Circuit gets an 8 out of 10 and comes recommended to beat 'em up fans as well as fighting game fans, since this has a fun mix of both. The game is over the top and is a blast to run through time and time again. This is one where I'll also find something new on each each run, and the fun never really lets up. The challenge isn't too demanding, but this game will cook you like yesterday's meatloaf until you get used to everything your characters can do. Either way, this is a solid beat 'em up to add to your collection either through the beat 'em up bundle or Capcom's Arcade Stadium. If you're lucky enough to have a working cabinet in your area, throw some coins in it and have some fun. And I thank you again if you made it this far into the video. If you find these videos helpful, that's awesome. I'm glad you use this as a resource. Check back often. We'll have more reviews and commentaries coming up in the near future. But until then, take it easy and stay safe out there. I'll see you on the next one.